Because here's what research says. People forget 50% of what they've just read and what they've just heard. Right away. 50%. You know what great leaders do? They use the power of repetition to reinforce critical messages that matters to moving the needle forward. So we can't just say it once. We got to use repetition, but in a creative way to move it from short-term memory to long-term memory. So then research says people forget even more. Within 8 hours, it drops down to 35%. And within 8 weeks, research says people only retain 25% of that original message. So as leaders, if we're going to move the needle forward, if we're going to make a difference up, down, and across our organizations, one of the tips that great leaders and managers use is the power of repetition. So with that said, I want you to think about the word care. And I can't take credit for this, but there's a writer and speaker by the name of Mark Sanborn. And he says this, you know what it means to care? Care, he broke it down in an acronym. Care means to create a rare experience. I want you to think about that. Individuals that recruit well, that retain well, and that create an environment for people to thrive and succeed, they create a rare experience. You differentiate yourself from other people. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. How many people like quotes? I love quotes. I teach through quotes as well. And there's a psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow, and he says this, if the only tool you have inside your toolbox is a hammer, you will begin to treat every problem like a nail. Let me say that again. If the only tool you have inside your toolbox is a hammer, you'll begin to treat every problem like a nail. I love studying leadership. I wrote a whole book on leadership. And one of the things that I love doing is going into organization, working with supervisors, managers, leaders, VPs. Sometimes I get the opportunity to interact with some CEOs or presidents. But most of the time, I'm working with individuals like yourself, right? The difference makers. And one of the things I've been studying the last 5 years is this thing about influence. And great leaders within organizations influence up, down, and across. And if you're going to be really successful, here's what Brian Tracy says. 85% of your success in life, school, and work is determined by your ability to get along with other people.